Hey stamping friends, and thanks for being here. Not too long ago, I was playing around with using my white ink to do some fun techniques on card projects. That got me thinking, I should make some cards that look like chalkboards. Use white ink on black cardstock and make different cards that look like chalkboards. So that inspired today's tutorial. We're going to be creating several cards that look kind of like chalkboards, and I am so excited about this. I hope you'll watch along with them. You know when you make cards and you get done and you're just like so warm and fuzzy on the inside because you just made something really awesome? That's the way these cards are making me feel, so I hope you'll stick around and watch. We're going to kick this off with our first chalkboard card right here. As you can see, I've already prepared all the pieces. We are ready to stamp our greeting on and make this look like a finished chalkboard. So what I did, I created this brown frame with my deckled rectangles dies. I embossed it with a timber embossing folder to give it the wood grain. And here I've stamped some paint brushes on the background. They're really faint. You probably can't even tell what they are, but I put the black piece on that is going to look like our chalkboard right here. Now, for the rest of these cards, I'll be using a different set, but for this one, I really wanted to use a big, bold greeting, and I love this one from the Good Feelings stamp set. So I pulled this one in, I've got my white ink here. Let's ink this stamp up and go ahead and stamp. But you know what? Sometimes I get ahead of myself. Before I do this, I really want to give this the look of a chalkboard. So I have a sponge here that has a little bit of white ink on it. We'll see if it has enough. I may need to come back in and add a little bit more, but I think it's got enough. I thought it would be fun to just apply a little bit of this ink in a few spots to give it the look of a real, authentic chalkboard, right? So if you are trying this, you can add a little bit of white glow if you want to give it the authentic look. You can do it after you stamp as well. You'll just have to wait a little bit for your ink to dry. Now I'm using my white craft ink. I love this white ink. It is kind of thick and gooey, and it takes a little bit of time to dry. The reason for that is if it wasn't thick, it wouldn't show up on our cardstock. It has to be thick for that white to show on top of all of our other colors. So here you can see I got that stamp, Sending Sunshine and Good Feelings Your Way. Isn't that kind of a neat look? I think this is such a fun idea to use on card projects. So I am getting my frame ready to apply over the top. I've got the dimensionals here on the back. Remove those paper backing pieces and we're ready to put this on. And if you're wondering about that little apple, is that not like the perfect finishing touch for this card? I created this actually with a Sweetest Cherries bundle, but when you shorten the stem and change where the leaves are placed on the stem, we can totally make it look like an apple. So let's get this put on, and our first chalkboard card is complete. What do you think? Isn't that cute? Okay, I was like so excited about these cards. You have to see these. You have to see these. So for the rest of these, I'm going to be using a bundle called Crafting with You. And when I first saw this, I thought it was adorable, but I thought, you know, like I'm just not sure how I would use it. So today some ideas came to me and you get to see them right now. So I have used some of the dies. I've used the stamps. We're going to look at several different ways to use these. So for this one, I cut the easel. The word is easel. It took a second for it to come to me. I cut out the easel. I stamped that greeting that says life is better when you're crafting. Amen, right? Amen. And I stamped the little balls of yarn. Now, I told myself I wasn't going to do this, and I messed up. I want to stamp one more thing. I wanted to show you some different things you can try if you are trying these at home. And I wanted to show you that if you want, you can add some color over top of the white. So if you want these to line up exactly, You're going to want to do this on your stamping platform. Stamp once with the white without moving your stamp. Stamp again with the color. Now that didn't show up a ton, this blue color, but if you use a brighter color, maybe the pink or something, you would get a little bit more of that color. So you can do that. I did that in my recent tutorial with the white ink techniques, and they turned out pretty neat when I stamped that color over top. So you can do that if you want to. Now we'll get this ready to go back on, and before we do, I thought I'd show you a couple of little ways that I attach ribbons on projects. So I'm putting this here to kind of align where I want it on my project. I did emboss the background of this with the, I believe it's called Countryside embossing folder, but I've got my adhesive there where it's going to be covered up by the easel when we get all done with this. And let's look at a fun little way to apply some ribbon or some twine or whatever kind of trim you want to use to a project. I don't know about you, but at some point here in the last year or so, I just kind of got burnt out on using ribbons on my, or using bows, I should say, using bows on my projects. Now, I still like to have the trim. I love the ribbon, but I just needed to kind of spice up the way I use them and how we're putting them on there. So here's kind of a fun way. I really like to do that where I have an end sticking out and then I make a couple of loops, leave another end sticking out. Now we'll put this easel over the top, and this simple card is going to be done. So like this one, it's pretty cute, but these next two, that first one and these next two, I just absolutely love. Okay, next, you can see I've already done the stamping on this card. I stamped, let's bring the stamp set back in so you can see these. Now keep in mind, you can do these chalkboard cards with any stamps in your collection, but I was having a ton of fun with this set, so I wanted to show it to you. So it's got the easel, the sewing machine, the cut and emboss machine, paintbrushes, yarn, basket, and then the die set has some really fun things in here too that you're going to see some of these here in a minute on these next two cards, but we can cut out all the things I just showed you on the stamp set, and then this is a little paper trimmer, and the little blade even moves on it if you attach it the right way. Scissors, 2 pieces for the scissors, and you can put a brad through the center and they will actually move. The little ruler, little cute little basket, thread, buttons. We've got all the things here. So I stamped a lot of those there on the background. Isn't that just a neat look? Like, it's so simple. I just stamped with white ink. And then here's kind of a fun idea if you're trying out these chalkboard cards. If you want to step it up a little bit, you can actually emboss whatever you're stamping with white embossing powder. So fun fact, did you know that this white craft ink can be used for heat embossing? I did not, since I already had this out, I used it with my white embossing powder. I did not get out my Versamark because this white ink can be used for embossing as well. So on the greeting, I did my heat embossing. Isn't this a sweet, I love this greeting, sending you a handmade hug with the little heart. And just for an added little touch, I am going to get this ready because the ink will be wet and I want to do as little as possible after I'm done. But just for an added touch, I wanted to put the edges of this onto that ink pad, pick up a little bit of white ink that's going to make this stand out from the rest of the card. So, like I said, the white ink takes a little bit longer to dry than our regular colors. It's totally worth it. If you find it's taking longer than you want it to, like right now, it depends on the conditions, how humid it is and all that. But anyway, right now it's drying probably within a minute max. But if you ever find that it's taking longer and you want to dry it up or speed it up, you can use a heat tool and that speeds it right along. So here is my third card. And I thought that was just super cute and so easy. Last but not least, this one is mostly done, but we'll finish it off and you'll get to see the results here. But for this one, hopefully you can tell I stamped some of these directly onto the card base, and then I stamped and die cut some of them separate. So these were stamped right onto my card base, and then I stamped and cut out the sewing machine, the yarn, and then I used the little dies for the spools and the buttons in this. Oh, this embroidery hoop, I stinking love this. Okay, so I have some linen thread here. We're gonna do some more twine wrapping just because I like it. Sometimes when I want to put something on a card and I just feel like, oh, it just needs something a little bit extra. Lots of times we head to the twine and we step it up a little bit that way. Let's do another one. More is always better, right? No, it's not always better, but for now we're gonna say more is better. Okay, I did put dimensionals on the back of this. Now this piece actually cut as two separate pieces in the embroidery hoop, but I put my dimensionals on so it will hold those two pieces together. I did this on purpose. Now I want to figure out how I want to line this up. I think I want it tilted this way. And I'm going to move it up a little bit so maybe you can still tell that's a sewing machine down there. Now we'll put this on top and one more card that looks just a little bit like a chalkboard. So I hope you have enjoyed seeing these. I would love for you to try these techniques out and send me pictures of what you are creating out there. So if you are new here, I would love for you to subscribe to my channel. If you're interested in any of these products, you can find links in the video description below. I truly appreciate those of you who shop with me and those who watch along. Thanks for being here. I hope you have a blessed day, and I hope you'll be back again next time when I'll be here helping you to hand make with love.